Earlier today, Sledgehammer started their first of what will be a weekly live stream series on Fridays to go along with the release of the community update that they give over on their blog. Now, along with this, we ended up getting, of course, just a reading of the blog post itself. We ended up getting some extra information, and if you weren't able to make it out to the live stream, you might have missed it at that point, but not to worry because we got you covered here in this video. As always, with our weekly recaps that we do here on the channel, talking about things that happened and, of course, also what's coming up thanks to what Sledge posts over on the blog. We have a little more indication on some things we've been looking out for, and of course a little also recap of the week itself. One big thing that I can't wait to hear a little more on, but was touched on very briefly in this stream, was that of the Master Prestige rewards. Now we'll get to all that here in just a second, but kicking it off, let's start with the stuff that is more of a recap. Let's start with the stuff that we have seen already, but was detailed in the blog post regardless. Firstly, we ended up seeing that the Weekend Warfare playlist is now live. That is actually 2 Weekend Warfare modes, but we also have double XP on all modes. So if you don't want to play these brand new modes of One Shot or Hardcore Ricochet, no worries, you're still gonna get double XP regardless of where you play, whether that be TDM, Hardcore Search, War, whatever it may be, you're gonna get double XP across the board. So jump on if you guys have to grind some levels out for that one. It's a great time to do so. That's gonna be live until 10 a.m. Pacific Standard Time on Monday, as are those brand new modes of One Shot and Hardcore Ricochet. Now, One Shot is featuring the lever action currently, and so that's one of the newer weapons if you don't have that already. One thing that I know the community has wanted is to be able to use different classes for each of the different snipers, not just one particular one the entire time. I'd honestly love to see that amended to this, but I don't know if that'll happen for this iteration of One Shot. As for Hardcore Ricochet, that's something that, again, it's very much so like what we've seen previously. We have seen both of these before, and they're returning just now for a limited time with this, but if you end up shooting a teammate, instead of killing the teammate, you'll instead die in Hardcore Ricochet. So, gotta be a little bit more conscious, but it also doesn't punish the player who's just in the wrong spot at the wrong time. And as a result, it also kind of decreases on the amount of trolling that might happen or griefing in-game you might come in contact with in Hardcore. So that's always a nice little thing here to go along with that one. But this week's weekly weapon contract was actually the Stinger. Again, if you guys have not picked that up, do that before it goes away on Tuesday at 10 a.m. Pacific Standard Time. Stinger's honestly a lot of fun. It is something, though, that just like the Bren, has a little bit of a fire rate problem where it's rather slow, but it's a 2-shot at almost any range. So if you can deal with a lower fire rate and toss on a rapid fire or something, it definitely is a great option for you to play around with. And if you're looking for a new LMG, I think this one might be one of my favorites out of all of them. So definitely give it a shot if you guys are willing. It's not all that bad and relatively cheap in terms of challenge as well as armory credits for what we've seen. So that was the weekly weapon contract. And the final thing in terms of recap that we get is just talking a little bit about the community challenge status. We, of course, already hit tier 2 of the community challenge, so we've ended up seeing in our mail station the British flag weapon charm, as well as we ended up getting the Canada calling card, both of which also should have given you automatically zombies consumable supply drops for those of you zombies players, but even if you don't play zombies, you should have those also. And we're very close to tier 3. As of you watching this, it might even be completed already. That is going to grant us the 1911 American II variants, which honestly are some of my favorite things in World War II. I love the inspect animation on these. They've got a nice little twirl to them. You do a nice little move with that, and honestly, it's so cool. I think this is probably one of my favorite inspect animations on any of the weapons, but that is something that we're on pace to complete either tonight or tomorrow. Just depends on when. Unfortunately, I actually don't even have a counter, so I can't give you a more accurate representation of that. I'm just going off of what Sledge ended up saying in their live stream. They ended up saying we're on pace for later tonight, maybe very early tomorrow. So keep that in mind, and of course, check your mail station if you end up waking up tomorrow morning. You might even have it at that point. So definitely looking forward to that. Next up is the Fez Special Helmet, and then the final grand prize of the M1 Independent 2 variant, which is awesome to say the least. So keep grinding. We're going to be getting close to that, and I think we actually can do it. I think we've picked up the pace, obviously, and we might even be able to complete this without what may be artificial help from Sledgehammer, but we'll see how that plays out. But the next things we end up getting detailed to us in this blog post aren't recaps, but they're more so looks ahead. They're smaller things, but next week's midweek mobilization was detailed. That's going to be double Division XP in Domination for Wednesday into Thursday at 10 a.m. Pacific Standard Time, so that 24-hour period from Wednesday at 10 a.m. Pacific Pacific to Thursday at 10 a.m. Pacific. That's when you can get double division in domination. And then also next week's Weekend Warfare was detailed as well. That's going to be double XP in the Wanderlust basic training playlist and double XP when you party up in any mode. So that's going to be available next Friday at 10 a.m. Pacific Standard Time until that Monday the 23rd following that. So of course, nice ways to rank up. The Wanderlust basic training in that playlist is a lot of fun. If you guys have not played around in that, definitely give that a shot. Definitely fun to mess around a little bit with that one. And then we also end up getting a little bit of the detail of the next week's weapon contract as well. I like knowing what we're jumping into the next week with these blog updates. They've recently been giving us the next week's weapon contract, and so starting on Tuesday, Butcher's gonna have available for us the Nambu Type 2 from the Quartermaster. So again, we don't know what challenge will be given with this one, but again, probably 4,000 to 5,000 armory credits, about an hour's time frame, and a certain number of kills potentially, but the Nambu's definitely one that I think you should go for out of all of what we've seen recently. I know I've said that about a lot of them, but I actually really do like the Attack the Undead weapons. The Nambu is pretty solid. Again, it might not be my go-to SMG, but it is a lot of fun to play around with, and it can definitely do well for you. It was literally created to be a counter for the PPSH, so that should give you any relative indication as to how well it can do in combat, and with the right attachments, I think you can definitely shred with it. So give it a shot if you guys have the armor credits and you guys do not have any of the variants for it just yet. Definitely gonna be worth it. So that's gonna continue on the Attack of the Undead trends here that we see for the weapon contracts, but let's talk about the other stuff, the juicy stuff that I'm really excited to talk about and excited to see a little bit more of. Now, we ended up getting the confirmation that Sledge during the stream would talk about Master Prestige rewards. That's something that they said in their Reddit post to kind of announce this live stream, and so we've known about this, that there was going to be the mention of it. We didn't know exactly what. A lot of people thought it was going to be officially revealed. I was on the fence. I was really hoping, but I also didn't really expect them to fully announce everything. But what we got was a little bit of just, it's going to be coming in the next update. That's the biggest thing we can take away from this. We don't have any idea as to what it is just yet. We have some hint, which we'll get to in just a second, but as it stands right now, they did say the Master Prestige rewards are going to be coming in the next title update, which to me indicates to me probably the end of the Liberty Strike event. We sometimes see the events have title updates to revert everything back to normal, but it might actually be the start of the next event, whenever that may be, because we also see that a lot of what we saw with Liberty Strike wasn't actually major changes. The headquarters itself wasn't changed around. A lot of what we ended up seeing was more so just playlist updates rather than anything else, so this might just be a playlist update we get to end it, or it might be a title update, but whenever that title update is, that's when we're going to see Master Prestige rewards in their entirety. Now, one hint that we ended up getting from Greg Reisdorf was that they are retroactive, so that means that even if you're level 1000 and you don't have any more progression that you can end up working with, you're still going to get everything up until that point. So it seems progression based by that statement, where you're going to have to hit certain checkpoints almost, where you get something every maybe 50, 100 levels, something like that. But it is something that retroactive was the big word that I took away from this, and therefore it to me seems like we're going to see a little bit more than just one small thing here that may be offered. Also, one other thing is that Greg Reisdorf also said that it's valuable compared to the grind on getting to max prestige. So that's also something to take into consideration, and hopefully is a really good sign as to what we can see with these max prestige rewards, if it is valuable compared to the time we put in as players. So that to me, as somebody that's master prestige, I'm really looking forward to that, because I've said it a couple of times, once you reach max prestige, you don't really get as much as you normally would think you would, and even when you're not max prestige, you get a lot more that once you hit that, you realize exactly what you don't have anymore whenever you rank up. So that kind of stuff, I'm looking forward to max prestige rewards, and of course, definitely can't wait for that. So look out for the end of the Liberty Strike events, or maybe the next event starting. I guess that's when we'll see one of those, but regardless, the last thing that I do want to talk about a little bit was we finally also got a little bit of the detailing of the Cavalry Division. I was wrong on this. I thought we might see some shifts in how the Cavalry Division works, but it was really, once again, just more so kind of explaining the design intent for how Cavalry ended up working. They ended up saying that they wanted to shift the meta a little bit, and they wanted to offer a division focused on team play, which I think they did quite well. they ended up actually going through and saying that they heard some of the feedback and they're monitoring it a little bit further, so who's to say there might not be some shifts and changes on the horizon for the cavalry division, but right now we still don't have any. They mentioned some bug fixes and some stuff that is definitely going to be coming, also fixing more bugs with the cavalry division, one of those being that shotgun damage is inconsistent against the shield, and that's something that can't be done in a hotfix. That's actually a coding error, so that along with Master Prestige rewards is going to be coming next update. They also gave an interesting statistic because everybody seems to always run into cavalry, but since the release it's actually dropped down to the second least used, tied with resistance. It was the second most used on its launch on the day that it actually dropped, but since then it's actually gone by the wayside statistically if you look at like the player counts all across the world. Now, that's not to say you might not run into a full team every game you jump into it, but from the global data set, definitely interesting to see how much of a drop-off that was compared to when it actually launched. So it's interesting to see that perspective of it, but that's it. We're gonna wrap it up here at this one. That is our update that we got from Sledge, and of course, I'm always looking forward to seeing some more stuff from them, talking to the community a little bit further, and I really like the idea of this live stream that they're gonna do every single week from here on out. So I like that. It gets a little bit more one-on-one with the community, and I think that's definitely something that we should all be thankful for and appreciate. So that said, let me know your thoughts in the comment section down below. What are you guys hoping for in terms of the Master Prestige rewards coming here in the next title update? Is there anything in particular you were hoping was going to be addressed in this update? Is there anything that you maybe aren't too happy was addressed with it? Whatever it may be, let me know your thoughts in the comment section down below. But that said, hopefully you guys enjoyed. If you guys did, make sure you drop a like down below. If you guys are new to the channel, make sure you guys subscribe so you don't miss a single thing regarding Call of Duty World War II content, updates, news, best class setups, tips, tricks, all that good stuff. We got you covered here up on the channel. So if any of that interests you, make sure that subscribe button so you don't miss a single thing. And also, if you guys want to follow me over on Twitter, that's the best place to get connected with me outside of YouTube. Practically live on Twitter. So if you guys want to strike up a conversation, ask me a question, whatever it may be, link is down there in the description below. And finally, if you guys want to follow me over on Instagram as well, that link is as well in the description below for you guys to check out if you guys want to. But of course, totally up to you. But all that said and out of the way, thank you guys all so much for watching. Mine is Espresso. I'll see you guys later. Take care and peace.